It's oftentimes the hottest, the sexiest, the best looking girls that are also using steroids. Women who are in bikini, they are taking steroids, using them, and if they know what they're doing, oftentimes you can't even tell, especially those who abuse steroids since they were teenagers. Well, it's oftentimes going to end bad. And by that, I mean they're going to die. You know, they'll be dead. Coach Greg, in today's video, we're going to be going over Rose Fit. She's an OF superstar, and she recently posted a video, and it says, "I'm done for good," and I'm not talking about OF. I'm talking about competing in bodybuilding and using performance-enhancing drugs. In her last competition, she went over her entire cycle. We made a video about it. Went over extremely well, and she managed to place second, almost getting her IFBB Pro card, and she's decided it's not worth it. I'm not going for my Pro card ever again.
By far the most crucial reason why I am no longer interested in competing is because of how much gear you have to take.
And so the number one reason, I do believe it's by far, is because she doesn't want to use and abuse performance-enhancing drugs. It's become a game of who dares to take the most. How much tren are you willing to take? Not if you use tren, but how much. And she states it doesn't really matter which category. I do believe this to be true.
Not in every division, but in most divisions.
Even in bikini, we have women using testosterone tren and using Anavar at such high doses that they do experience irreversible side effects. And so many of you are thinking, no, it's just the bodybuilders. Trust me. And I do believe even the girls in the newest category of fit model also are going to be using steroids. And so if you think it's just the men, the guys, or girls who are perhaps growing a mustache and who have deeper voices than last time, it's not true. It's oftentimes the hottest, the sexiest, the best looking girls that are also using steroids. Because remember, essentially it's how much are you taking, and if you're not taking a lot, you might even be able to get away with it and have no one the wiser. Women who are in bikini, they are taking steroids, using them, and if they know what they're doing, oftentimes you can't even tell, and so other girls, they're looking up to them thinking, I want to look exactly like that. They'll write me in the DMs almost every single day saying, is this girl natural? And I'm thinking, what do you think? Of course she's not natural. Now, it's possible that some of them are, but for the majority of women, the ones who look the best, the ones who have muscle and who are lean year-round, most likely a fake natties.
There are going to be anomalies, but I am not one of those anomalies. I do have great athlete genetic. I don't even, my parents were not athletes. I guess I have great genetics in some ways, but I wouldn't say they're great for bodybuilding. I have a very, very wide waist, wide ribs, all that stuff.
And so she states, you know, I don't really have good genetics. This is coming someone who was an elite athlete. She was a gymnast. She competed natural 5 times in bikini. And so she's saying, you know, I don't have great genetics. Now, I think she means I don't have stupendous or world-class genetics. You know, the genetics where you can win a pro card without taking anything, but who does? Almost nobody. She does have great genetics, better than perhaps 99% of the population, but even with her great genetics, she still needed to abuse gear, that's right, abuse it in high doses in order to stand a chance at a pro card.
I have taken gear on and off for 4 years. And of course I do cycle off of it, as you should. I'm not taking astronomical amount. Well, I don't take it anymore at all, but.
And so when she says she wasn't taking astronomical amounts, what she means is she wasn't taking as much as some of the girls who are actually pros, or some of the girls who are trying to go pro. Trust me, I've seen it. I've coached women like this. I've tried to convince them not to take these doses. And frankly, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are her doses? It's about a 5. Half the pros are taking more and half the pros are taking less. And so it's not astronomically high, but if you're taking gear at a 5 out of 10 rate, you're most certainly getting side effects. For example, we all know your voice can get deeper. You can lose some of your hair. You're going to get acne. It's going to be horrendous for your blood work. You perhaps could grow facial hair or body hair or experience clitoral enlargement. And so you do need to be careful. And remember, the higher the dose and for the longer you do it, the more side effects you're going to get. And so the first cycle you ever do, you might do lower doses and you might say, you know, I didn't really feel any changes. Perhaps I wanted sexy time a little bit more. I noticed maybe my attitude was a little bit more aggressive, but there was no real changes. And so the second cycle, you decide to double it up. After all, you perhaps won your very first competition. And so you're thinking, next cycle, I'm going to do more. I'm going to go to nationals, and then I'm going to win. You go to nationals and you don't win. And then you say, well, it wasn't that bad. My voice only changed a little bit. My hair, well, yeah, it fell out when I was washing, but it will grow back. And then you up the dose yet again and you compete. And every single year, every time you do this, the changes become more and more permanent. And so if you decide to stay in the sport for perhaps 5, 10, or let's call it even 20 years, well, you are going to experience irreversible side effects. And many people are going to think you're a man.
I'm very proud of myself for being mature enough to get out of this whole world before I, started getting side effects that I was really unhappy with and that couldn't be reversed.
And so she makes a great point. She's proud of herself for stopping before it got too bad. Oftentimes people, they can't stop. And I'm not talking about women, I'm talking about men. They'll go to the doctor, they'll get their blood work, and it is bad. It's horrendous. Gonna be honest, I've seen this blood work. And I'll have the conversation, I'll say, you need to retire, you can't keep competing. I mean, this is so bad. Even at my worst, I never had blood work as bad as this. I can't stop. I need to compete. It's my love. It's my passion. It's all I want to do. And I'm thinking, you got to find another passion. I switched over to bike racing. I love it. You don't have to bike race, but is there anything else you might enjoy? It doesn't have to be bodybuilding. Perhaps you could do swimming, running, triathlons, cycling against Coach Greg. I mean, although that's perhaps the best choice you could do, there are other things. You could do CrossFit. You could do high rocks. You could compete in pickleball for all I care. As long as you don't do things that abuse your body and takes years off your life, but allow you to still be active and have a competitive outlet, well, that's what I want. I want you to be happy. I want you to have as much fun and happiness in this world as I do. And so I'm trying to share and spread the word, the message that there is, in fact, life after bodybuilding. You really think that Rose Fit needs to compete in a wellness competition and earn her IFBB Pro card in order to have a good life? Of course not. She's very happy. I'm actually friends with her. I know her. And she has an amazing life. And I'm sure she's very happy.
But I'm also happy with, how I look. I think my voice is, some people think I have a deep voice. Do I have a deep voice for a girl? Probably. But I don't think it's, disgustingly deep. I don't mind it.
And so she's experienced some side effects. She's not delusional. But she doesn't want them to get worse. And so she's thinking, well, if I really want to win, I'm going to have to up my doses. And the next cycle, the changes are going to be even more permanent. And so why would I risk that? And so I'm getting out while the getting's good. Now, consider she has a great career with OF. You can go and follow her account. You can go and check her out.
I want to create this unhealthy bubble that is supposed to be fitness and live in that. And that is what bodybuilding can be for a lot of people and was for me.
You're most like your 5 closest friends. And if you're in bodybuilding, your 5 closest friends are using and abusing performance-enhancing drugs and they're competing. Or if the majority of your friends are all in the gym and they're lifting weights, using steroids, competing, you're going to change as a person because you're going to get your respect, perhaps your dignity, your dopamine from things related to the gym. You think that the appearance, it matters most in life. If you surround yourself by bodybuilders, it's how big are your biceps? How shredded are your abs? Before you know it, you're a slave to this. No matter how many improvements you make, it's never going to be good enough. You're thinking, no, if I just put on 10 or 15 pounds of muscle, I'll be happy. No, it's the hedonic treadmill. The closer you get to that goal, the further the goal is going to move away. And so you're never happy. You're never satisfied. Even if you win the Mr. or Miss Olympia title, it's not enough. You need to win it again, or you need to dominate by even more. You need to try to find a sport that doesn't abuse you back. When you compete, you're abusing your body. You need to abuse steroids in order to get to the level that you want. I'm sorry, but it's true. If you're trying to look a certain way, to compete, to be the best of the best, no matter how good your genetics, no matter how hard you training harder than last time, no matter how many videos of Coach Greg that you watch, you've got my cookbook. You've purchased the Platinum Turk Builder, obviously the GO2 Max, the Blue Lobster pre-workout of which I've used all the freaking time, and you're consuming the Psycho bars. Perhaps you're even going to Algor-X and you're using enclomiphene, HRT, peptides. Perhaps you're using GLPs to help you to lose weight, or even GLP Max from Coach Greg, and you're using the blood work to make sure that you're as healthy as possible. No matter how many of these things that you're doing, it's not going to be enough. And so before you know it, use Tren. Hey, I said it. It's going to be Tren.
I've averaged almost 8 full hours of sleep per night for the last week. And on prep, I was lucky to be averaging 3.5 or 4 hours a night. So that alone, like, it's really hard to understand how that makes you feel on a day-to-day basis unless you've experienced that.
Number 2, aside from the steroids, the lack of sleep. When you're dieting to this extent, suffering in a calorie deficit, it's very easy to sleep. Now, you might say, oh, she was on Tren, she had Trensomnia. This is not what happened. She literally couldn't sleep because your cortisol levels are higher. And when your body is starving, I'm going to call it starvation mode. And I know it's not really a thing, but it is. You're in starvation mode and your body is now saying, you're staying awake, bitch, or loser. You go and get me some food. I'm not letting you sleep. What do you think this is? We're not going to let you have a relaxing night. And so you suffer every single day with lack of sleep. Insomnia. I've experienced it. You get addicted to sleeping pills. You need everything to get you to sleep because your body is trying to keep you up in order to go and hunt for food. Go pick some strawberries, blueberries, get out there, go hunt a deer, go hunt a bear. You're not sleeping because you're starving to death. And so your body is trying to keep you alive by keeping you more awake. And so rather than sleeping 8 hours a night, you're sleeping 4. 4 hours a night, you feel like shit. Imagine how hard that is to recover. But remember, you're on steroids, and so you're recovering with the steroids. But imagine doing it natty. I even did this natural. Trust me, it sucks ass to suffer and not eat and not get enough sleep, all to win a bodybuilding competition. But hey, we don't choose what we love. I believe that when you've experienced a certain amount of things and you do good at something, it chooses you. And so I was good at bodybuilding, and so I did bodybuilding. I was good at powerlifting, so I did that. I think if I would have been really good at chess, I would have done that as well. And so thank God I'm half decent at cycling so that I can enjoy that and be healthy.
You're internalizing a lot of negative feelings, I'll say that, and a lot of moodiness. And of course, you're still letting some out intentionally, and it's not great for the people around you.
And so another thing was she hated being miserable. She hated having an attitude and have to, on purpose, consciously tell herself, don't get in a rage.
I'm quite certain that I will never, ever take any sort of steroids again. I could see myself maybe taking, if I was doing a really serious cut for something, like a huge photo shoot, maybe a little bit of Clen or something like that.
Don't use Clen. So this is what I want you to know. Clen is not safe. It's not safer than Anavar. It's more dangerous, in fact. Now, it's not going to turn you into a man, but it could cause you to have, for example, a heart attack. And so I'd rather you slowly turn into a man than actually die of a heart attack. This is bad.
I didn't realize that I was missing out on the excitement of trying new things until I tried something new. I've been in CrossFit for just over a month now, and I get excited to go to CrossFit.
Love it. And so y'all are going to think I'm going to insult or put down CrossFit. I don't care what she's doing. I don't care if it's CrossFit or High Rock. She's moving. She's trying new things. When you're in bodybuilding, and remember, I was in bodybuilding. I quit during triathlons. I was swimming, biking, running. I was Mr. Fitness. Like when I was a teenager, I was more fit than almost anyone. I was doing 20 hours of cardio a week, always moving, always having a good time. I became a physical education teacher. I played sports. This was my life. But you get into bodybuilding and it becomes a certain narrow lane. Don't do too much cardio. You don't want to lose your leg size, okay? Eat more food, bulk up, get big, blah, blah, blah. And so over the course of many years, you start doing less and less of other things.
I feel like my body was just everything caught up to me. And it was okay, you just killed your body for months straight. We need some R&R time, And I don't really like that. I had to go so hard that I broke for a month and a half.
This absolutely happens when you diet to the extent. Remember, she almost got her pro card. You're suffering, you're dieting like no other, and you're abusing performance-enhancing drugs. Then you have to stop. And so you come off of the cycle. You don't have the same level of oomph, of drive, of energy. You're going through a roller coaster of emotions, the ups and the downs. And so for a while after a competition, you don't know how to feel. It's kind of like a postpartum depression. It's like you're carrying this baby and it's all that matters for 9 months. And then all of a sudden it's not inside you anymore. And so after a bodybuilding competition, you've just stopped doing something that you spent, for example, 6 months straight focusing on. And now what? And slowly you're watching the gains go down. You're gaining body fat. You're saying goodbye to the striations. And you look in the mirror and you're thinking, well, what happened to my physique? And so for a lot of people, they at this time can develop body dysmorphia. It's a very common problem amongst competitors. And so to that, I warn you, if you do compete, remember, as good as you look on show day, it's show day. The proper tan, the oil, the lighting, you're not going to look like that forever.
I'm sure a lot of people are going to be fairly disappointed. I know that obviously people love to see my prep journey and love to see me get so shredded. And like I said, I have tons of that content still available on my OF.
There are going to be people that are disappointed. They want to see the prep. I know that people would want to see me prep. We want to see people prep. It's fun, but it's fun for selfish reasons. And so if you're really friends with her, if you really like her as a person, as a human being, you should respect her wishes and be thankful that she got out before it was too late. Unless you're one of those persons that enjoys pain, you get a hit of dopamine from watching other people suffer or do things that are bad, then you want to have people who are healthy. And so please, if anyone tries to retire, tries to quit, for example, C-Bum, the list goes on and on. We should be there for them. We should cheer for them. If Sam Sulek competes at the Arnold's and says, this is my last show, I'm now going to stop, I'm going to go on HRT, I would applaud him like no other. I would be so grateful, so happy that he decided to get out of it before it's too late. Many people would perhaps hate this. Hey, we love watching Sam's journey. We love watching him train. He says, look, I'm going to train twice a week. I'm going to do a full body workout. I'm going to start riding bikes. I mean, how much more healthy would Sam be if he did that? And so if you're not cheering for Sam to be healthy, what are you cheering for? Are you really a fan? Do you really care about him? If you're cheering for him to die a younger death, because frankly, you're taking a leap of faith and imagining that those steroids are not taking years off of his life. And so if it actually comes to mind to fruition, you're thinking, wow, this is actually happening. Every time he preps for a show, he's perhaps living 1 year less. I understand it's fun and selfishly you want to see it. But as a good human being, don't you want other people to succeed and be happy? And so we get it. You cheer for him. You're going to place top 15 at the Arnold's. It's amazing. You look great. You've achieved your goal. That's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But deep down inside, if he does say, hey, I'm going to retire, you should be cheering even more. Yes, you choose life. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm, like the video if you liked it, say no to steroids, watch any of those two bloops. If you want to be a sponsored HTLT athlete, looking for you. The more followers, the more you like HTLT, the better. Click and apply right now. Also, you want to be coached by myself and my team, you can apply right now. And if you want to carry HTLT supplements in your store and or gym, there's the link. Don't forget code Greg to save discounts. Algorex, HTLT to the moon. And until next time, I am out.